an announcement I like to read now. Wait, how am I supposed to pronounce it?
Tiff Talks. You're listening to Tiff Talks with Tiffanie Lanelle. This is Tiff Talks with Tiffanie Lanelle. What's up? Welcome to 2021. It is a new year. Welcome to the first Tiffanie Talks show in the new year. In case you are new here or haven't listened to me before, welcome. If you are not new here, welcome back. I won't sing Welcome Back Kotter, even though every time I say welcome back, it makes me think of that show. But I'm not going to do that to y'all this early in the month, in the year, in the season. So this season, I have a lot of changes. I am introducing segments like hymnal history and Black Business Highlight and Grown Folk Talk and all of that. I gave some previews of these segments last year, but I'm bringing them full-fledged this year. Now, I have been out trying to rest, but what is that? You know, you just gotta find pockets in your days. But I have a jam-packed show for you today. Y'all's asshat, soon to not be president anymore, Trump, released a report yesterday. We will talk all about that at the top of the show. He's almost gone. I could do a dance off of that alone. In addition to that, I did a special show on the day of the Capitol, so I will play a snippet of that show for you. I also did a special show yesterday for MLK Day, and I will play a snippet of that for you, and then we'll talk about it some more and talk about both of those things more in depth because I've been gone. So I have to come back and greet my family, talk about all of the things that I missed while I was out. And also, this Friday is another holiday. For those who don't know, it is my birthday. So this Friday, I'm going to have a special show where I'm not going to spoil the surprise. It's going to be a fun show. You want to make sure you tune in. So that is a highlight of what we will be talking about today. Today's segment is Black Business Highlights. So every Tuesday, I'm going to be highlighting some Black businesses. Some will be my friends, some will be new friends, but it will be Black businesses. In particular, Black female-owned businesses, because we deserve all the shine, spotlight, time, all of that, because Black women are dope, period. We're magic, like that's just end of story, period, all of that. So today, I have my first Black business highlight, Tyriana Harris, and you will definitely want to hear about her business. You definitely want to hear the chat that we have. Yeah, I'm very excited about this interview. You don't want to miss that. She will be here in the second hour, so you don't want to touch the dial, move the channel, or do anything else. You want to keep it locked here. You want to keep it locked here for my show and for the show right after me. Alex Haynes, Unmuted Nation, also returns today. So make sure you just go ahead, just prepare to be here on Boss FM Talk. Now, really every weekday. You should plan to be there every weekday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. I know that's a long time. You will not be disappointed, I promise. You're going to get good conversation, good information, and dope music. What else do you need to get through your day? That's it, right? Exactly. So make sure you stay tuned. I have the Black Business Highlight coming up for you. We're going to talk about what Trump released and his ridiculousness. And I will talk about the Capitol, MLK Day, and some other things. So you want to make sure to keep it locked. Tiffanie Talks. All right, welcome back. So, Trump. Let's talk about Trump for a moment. Trump decided to get a commission, a panel, if you will, and they released a report yesterday called the 1776 Commission Report. It is 45 pages long. He's a petty asshat clown, because y'all know what he is. Anyway, it was a Presidential Advisory 1776 Commission. It was released yesterday on MLK Day. Braggity. And it is racist and trash. That is the summary that's the summary of it. So it includes the meaning of the Declaration. It includes a Constitution of Principles. It includes challenges to America's principles, which are slavery, progressivism, fascism, communism, racism, and identity politics. The next section is the task of national renewal, talking about the role of the family, which comes off very Hostafin codes. We'll talk about Hostafin codes in another show. Basically, like very patriarchal, misogynistic rules of how your household should be run. Teaching America, a scholarship of freedom, the American mind, reverence for the laws. And then in the appendices includes the Declaration of Independence, faith in America's principles, created equal or identity politics, and teaching Americans about their country. So let me just summarize some of what is in this report. Bullshit. That just, if you're listening for the first time, sorry, I love God, but I also cuss. Welcome, it's warm here. Trump is really back up on his bull, like, to say the least, because it's very racist. And for you to release this on MLK Day of all days, how dare you? How dare you? How dare you? The report part, I'm gonna read just some of the quotes from the report. Neither America nor any other nation has perfectly lived up to the universal truths of equality, liberty, justice, and government by consent. But no nation before America ever dared state those truths as the formal basis for its politics, and none has strived harder or done more to achieve them. BS. The most common charge leveled against the founders, and hence against our country itself, is that they were hypocrites who didn't believe in their stated principles, and therefore the country they built rests on a lie. This charge is untrue and has done enormous damage, especially in recent years, with a devastating effect on our civic unity and social fabric. What? They were hypocrites. They wanted freedom from British rule, but practiced, supported, and had one of the most horrendous forms of slavery in this country. So yes, they were hypocrites. That's not untrue. And yes, it has done enormous damage, but not the fact that it was a lie, because it wasn't a lie. The damage is to generations of Black Americans, African Americans in this country that have had to deal with the post-traumatic slave syndrome, as Dr. Joy McBride calls it, in this country. We are still trying to heal from the trauma of our ancestors. So that is the enormous damage that has been done. He's criticizing the 1619 Project, which was done by the New York Times. If you have not even heard about the 1619 Project, I highly recommend that you Google it, look into it. I don't have time to talk about all of that. Another key term that is included in this report is critical race theory, which he has been coming after hard, especially in recent months. Again, that's something else. I don't have time to dive into that, but we'll talk about that in another show too. But I'm gonna read this quote really quick. Critical race theory, the 1619 Project, and the crusade against American history is toxic propaganda, ideological poison that, if not removed, will dissolve the civic bonds that tie us together and will destroy our country. He said this in a press conference last year when he was talking about the commission. So the commission report is actually basically the report that it feeds into what he was saying about critical race theory, 1619 Project. He talks about slavery. I cannot say enough how bad this report is. There is a picture included of Martin Luther King Jr. where he's talking about Lincoln and he's talking about slavery, and it is delusional, to say the least. Delusion is actually probably being generous to what this piece of garbage is that was released yesterday. I cannot even begin to really America is our education system needs work. That I agree with, but not to further whitewash the tragic, enormously damaging history and trauma and toxicity that this country has inflicted on indigenous peoples and enslaved Africans and the descendants of enslaved Africans. That is still not accurately taught in many schools across this country. Y'all are still celebrating Christopher Columbus Day, and that was trash. He didn't discover anything. He raped, pillaged, killed indigenous populations everywhere he went. This report defending slavery and this is how you incited the Capitol attack. This is how. This is it right here. On that note, I'm going to play a snippet from the coverage of the Capitol attack. We'll talk about it when I come back, but I just here are my thoughts. Here are some of my thoughts on the Capitol attack. I'm going to play this clip, and then when I come back, we'll talk about it some more.
I think that this group has definitely proven themselves to be desperate. I mean, they have been touting election fraud, voter fraud, all of these other lies since the election occurred. So I even if we didn't have the loads of evidence of them on blogs and websites and social media threatening to do this, history would show desperate people, like you said, do desperate things. And there should have been a lot more pre-planning before today's events, before today's vote. We're getting videos now of different protests and violence happening across the country. From Oregon to now, there's violence being escalated in Capitol Hill, where they're just now using pepper spray and beating up some of the rioters. Had it been us, that would have happened hours ago. We would have never made it into the Capitol. We would have never been able to storm the stairs. If we had showed up armed, National Guard would have been there hours ago. And so today showcased again, because this isn't the first time, but this is definitely on a large scale, what it is to be Black and brown in this country and what it is to be white in this country. And I think that we have to pay attention again to the stark differences between the two, because today what we saw was no handcuffs, no tear gas, no National Guard. The riot gear didn't come out until rioters were leaving. and not by force, by choice. They were just shay along and walking calmly down the stairs. None of the barricades and none of that showed up until about 4:30. This started, as you said, Alex, at 1 o'clock. The moment even one protester, had they been black and brown, scaled the wall, tried to get a gate, would have been done. Now, some videos I have seen, the police didn't stand a chance against these crowds. But I've also seen videos where gates were being lifted by police. And so we have to address the full circle of this situation. It's not just rioters storm the Capitol. It's rioters storm the Capitol and put the lives of those in the Capitol in danger. It's rioters and violent thugs stormed the Capitol. They destroyed equipment, computers from news media outlets. They read intelligence. They went through allegedly Nancy Pelosi's emails. They left a note on her desk. They walked around chambers. They stormed the rotunda. They walked around armed, and still 13 arrests from the last count that we received. No tear gas, no riot gear. SWAT didn't arrive until about 5 p.m. The National Guard didn't arrive until later, and backup didn't even come until rioters were already leaving. This is America, and that is the problem. Period.
And that is indeed the problem. That was one of my biggest issues with the attack on the Capitol, was the vast difference in response from the police at the rioters, the domestic terrorists, because we're going to call them what they are and what they were, and the attacks that were put on to Black Lives Matter protesters and those marching in the streets for Black Lives to Matter, which is a minimum. I'm going to keep repeating that as well. There have only been, last time I checked, 72 arrests in the attack on the Capitol. There were over 14,000 arrests, and I said this on the MLK show yesterday. There were only 14,000 arrests. There were over 14,000 arrests made in the George Floyd protest. 427 in DC arrest for racial justice, unrest related arrests, basically. Out past curfew, unlawful assembly. 427. I don't understand. And it doesn't even matter the different cities, because the 14,000 were in 49 cities. Across 49 cities, there were 14,000 arrests. This is the crux of the problem. This is why the 1776 Commission report is BS. This is why we, yes, need to change the way education is done in this country to tell the truths of America's past. But let's be clear, there's not much to celebrate in America's past. Indigenous populations and African Americans have been fighting for equality and justice for all, for generations. So keep your report, Trump. You literally are about to lose your job, and you're going to jail. I, for one, can't wait. I actually want to see the U-Haul truck about to pull off and the FBI pull up and arrest his ass. That's what I'm waiting on. I am hoping and praying that the inauguration goes well, that it's safe. There have been 3 arrests this week thus far for different threats, false credentials, people trying to sneak in. There have been 3 arrests made. They had a scare, I think that was yesterday, where there was a small fire nearby. They evacuated the inauguration rehearsal. They took it very seriously. So it seems like they are on high alert and really locking things down, which I'm glad about. But Trump, keep this report. Hopefully it's safe. Airbnb canceled all DC reservations, period. Like, they just were like, we're not even taking any chances. Airlines have been trying to lock down different flights, and of course there's the no-fly list. If you have not seen the no-fly list videos, watch. It's hysterical. I've got more show coming up for you. You don't want to miss it, so stay tuned.
Agree? Disagree? Be heard. Record your feedback on today's show and email it to tiffanytalks@bossfm.com. You may hear yourself on a future show.
Welcome back to Tiffanie Talks. If you've missed any of this show, you can check out the podcast, which hopefully you're already following and subscribed to. But if not, follow, subscribe, share the show. Tell them we have family conversations here. So if you missed any of the last piece of the show, I was talking about Trump's 1776 report. Google it if you have time. If you don't, I summarized the racism that is in it and the audacity of him to release it on MLK Day. As I said, some of the things I mentioned in that last piece, critical race theory, the 1619 Project, we'll talk about that in other shows. That is what this show is about, but definitely look into those things. Yesterday I did a special MLK special, and I actually attended, a friend of mine had a webinar over the weekend called Honor King and Racism. So it was a weekend full of just good stuff for MLK Day. Asshat, sending that report out aside. So yesterday I was talking about different ways to get involved, and my company message that I sent out to all of the folks who I work with said, don't just be an ally, be an accomplice. And I get a lot of questions about, what does that mean? How do I become an accomplice? And not just from white people. Like, there are different people of different races and ethnicities who want to get involved in the fight for racial justice, the fight for social justice, criminal justice, and advocacy work. There are a lot of things that can be done. I'll summarize some of the things that I said yesterday, but if you missed any of that show yesterday, it's on my Tiffanie Lanelle page and the Boss FM page. But I want to really dive deep into some of those things because it is really important work. And one of the things I mentioned was getting involved in legislative conversations, getting involved in your community, getting involved in small and big ways. And even the small ways are still big ways. I mentioned a story that my neighbors, my neighborhood, my community got together because our grocery store did not have fresh enough produce. And we were sick of it. So my community got together with, a couple of people in the lead and contacted the corporate office. We got new management in the grocery store, and I love shopping there now. I didn't hate shopping there before, but I just, would go other places. You shouldn't have to go to 2 or 3 stores to get all of your groceries. You shouldn't have to go to this store because they have fresh produce, in this store because they have, good dry goods or whatever. You can do something about that. And that is what I was talking about. If you live in a food desert, a food swamp, I have another guest that will come on and talk more about some of those things. But it's basically, if you don't have quality resources in your neighborhood, you can do something about that. That is what your representatives are for. That is the whole point. So that's some of the things I was talking about. If you just have no idea how to get involved, but you really want to, think about what is your passion, or what area do you work in? What is something that you do that you can that you can involve social justice, criminal justice work. It doesn't matter if you're a teacher. It doesn't matter if you are a lawyer. It doesn't matter if you are a politician, not a politician. You hate politics, you love politics. You watch the news, you don't watch the news. You're in media, you're a journalist, you're a writer, you're a blogger, you're a graphic designer. Whatever the case may be, you can find a way to fight an injustice. Literally. There are a plethora plethora of ways, but I really want to challenge all to take that service beyond MLK Day. Make it a lifestyle. Make it more than just a moment, more than just a day. Now, in addition to this, I had a real problem after, we talk religion, spirituality, church, all of that here on this here show. So if you are new here, that is part of our discussions as well. I had a real problem with a lot of what I saw the Sunday after the attack on the Capitol. That is part of the work too. If you are a preacher, a teacher, a minister, a reverend, or whatever, there is absolutely no reason. It is unfathomable if you did not address the attack on the Capitol the Sunday after the attack on the Capitol. If you didn't mention it in your service, if you didn't mention the fact that there was a huge difference between the response of Black Lives Matter protesters and the domestic terrorist that attacked the Capitol, I have a problem. And as a member of a church, if your church, your pastor, your preacher, whoever didn't address it, didn't say anything about it, you should have a problem too. Black, white, brown, Puerto Rican, Latina, whatever. I don't care what your church predominantly is. I don't care what the makeup is. I don't care about the demographics. As Martin Luther King Jr. said, and I'm going to summarize, a threat to justice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. That's a summary of his quote, but you get the point. There is no reason that should not have been addressed. Not only should it have been addressed, but if you don't already have programs in your church that are addressing the needs of the community and like you're nearby the community where the church is and the community by large, having educational programs, training hubs, ways to get involved in different areas, start one. And if they're not willing, find another church home, period. Because that is what the church is supposed to be about. That is what being a part of the body of Christ is supposed to be about. It is the hands, the feet, the extension of God's love, God's care, God's concern for God's people. So if you are not doing the work to care and love for God's people, if you are not extending a hand to those experiencing homelessness, you are not looking at the food disparities and the resource disparities in the community, if you are not being the church, the original intention of church. It's not about a building. It's not about sitting in a pew or in a church, in a seat and hearing a message every Sunday. If you are not doing that work, what are you here for? What is the church doing? I don't understand. If you're not addressing things like the attack on the Capitol and the fact that nobody, if you're not addressing that, I don't, what are we here for? If we're not having those conversations, if we're not willing to have those conversations, what are we doing as a church, as the body? I don't understand. So even stuff like that, challenge respectfully. Challenge your leadership at work, at church, whatever. What are we doing to address these kind of conversations, to address these types of needs? That is the real question. So if you're not having those conversations, then what is it here for? Really? I've got so much more show coming up. You don't want to miss it. Coming up next, Black Business Highlight. Keep it locked.
We're taking a quick break. More Tiffanie Talks after these messages.
Welcome back. If you have not already shared this stream, you should share it now. You should also share the link so that folks can subscribe to Tiffanie Talks on Spotify and Apple Podcast. I want to share a quick inspirational quote before we get into our Black Business Highlight for the day. You don't always need a plan. Sometimes you just need to breathe, trust, let go, and see what happens. That's from author Mandy Hale. And I think this is an important quote because a lot of time, I'll speak for myself. Sometimes, on occasion, just a little bit, I may have just a teeny bit of control issues. Just a little bit. I also have OCD. I'm not even going to say little because I don't want all the text messages from my friends and family saying a little, girl, try again. I have OCD. So it's very difficult sometimes for me to just breathe, trust, and let go and see what happens. I hate last minute stuff. I only can go with the flow to a certain degree. But it's very hard for me. But I was having a conversation the other day with a friend of mine, and they were saying, I don't really have firm plans and I'm kind of scared and blah, blah, blah. And I said, some of the best experiences come out of when we don't make plans. And that's just, experience. I could get into the faith conversation and all of that, but whether you believe or don't believe, whatever your situation may be, if you really sat and thought about it, some of the best experiences were when you just let go. You just trusted, another person, trusted a higher being, trusted the divine, trusted yourself, and just let go and see what happens. That's some of the best times of your life, some of the best experiences of your life, some of the best lessons of your life happen when you just see what happens. Just breathe, just let it go. Especially in the times that we are in now. If you don't do anything else, you gotta let go, because nobody knew we were going to be in a pandemic, panoramic, panda bear, whatever you're calling it. And here we are, stuck for God knows how long. Now, whether your state is open or not open, hopefully, and even if it hasn't sunk in, I know a lot of us are going through the growing pains of it. A lot of us had to let go. We had to trust in something beyond ourselves. We had to trust that everything would be okay. And even when it wasn't okay, that eventually it would be okay. And that is so hard to do. It really is. So challenge yourself. Try to just take it one thing at a time, one process at a time, one program at a time, one to-do list task at a time, whatever, and just let it go and see what happens. And I guarantee 9 times out of 10, it'll probably be one of the best decisions you've made. This just in, this morning, it was announced, yesterday it was announced that Reverend Sylvester Beeman, who is a Delaware AME, African Methodist Episcopal pastor, will be performing the inauguration benediction. He and Biden have developed a friendship over the last 28 years. So I could get into a Reverend Jeremiah Wright conversation here, but I don't feel like being pissed off all over again right now. So I'm just going to leave it with, I hope this goes well, but I think this is a good move, and we'll see how that goes. Beeman has participated in Joe Biden's son. He participated in those services for his son that passed away of cancer in 2015. And he says, Joe Biden is a man whose life experiences have taught him to seek the face of God. He's had some dark times in his life, and he's someone who is naturally a person of faith. He prays and listens to God. We need a president who is after the heart of God. In these terrible times, if anybody can bring healing and reconciliation to a divided country, if we give him room to work, Joe Biden can be that person. I think we've given him the room to work. Hopefully we now have a Democratic Senate majority with Vice President-elect Kamala Harris being the tiebreaker. It's 50-50 on both sides, with her being the tiebreaker, so Democrats have a majority. I think that giving him room to work is the key. Let's hold our new leadership accountable at every level, local to federal, but hopefully they get the room to work. Both Biden and Harris get the room to work and really do some good, but it's going to take some time to turn around a lot of the damage Trump has done. And he has done a lot of damage. So I'm going to go take care of the hiccups that just showed up. But I've got more show for you coming up. Is the Black Business Highlight for this week. You don't want to miss it. I will be right back.
Tiffanie Talks.
Welcome back to Tiffanie Talks. I am here with Tiffanie Harris. Why don't you introduce yourself to the people?
Hi, guys. My name is Tiffanie Harris, and some of my friends affectionately call me Ty.
Well, I get the privilege to call you Ty. So audience members, don't try this on the streets if you meet her or use her business. But if I just wanted to put that out there in case I slip and call you Ty during this interview. So
it's okay. You have permission.
I have permission, and I am grateful to have permission. Thank you so much. So I'm launching segments this season, or this half of the season. No, this season. Lord have mercy. I'm launching segments, and one of my segments is Black Business Highlights, as I mentioned earlier in the show. And I wanted to have you as one of my first Black businesses that I highlight because your photography skills are just super dope. I have reaped the benefits frequently of your skills. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your business?
Well, number one, I'm going to say I think it is super dope that you decided to give this or give us as Black entrepreneurs this kind of platform. So I think that's super, super dope. Number two, that was a magnificent introduction. I almost said, now what you talking about?
I'm sorry.
You did that. I appreciate that. Dang, I really forgot what you had asked me. What did you say? I had to get that out first.
Tell us about, okay, y'all, this is why photography sessions with her are so much fun, because half of the time you're going to just have fun and take photos. I was asking you to tell us a little bit about your business.
Okay, so my business is it's a photography business, and it's basically simply called Ty Nicole Photography. I was trying to come up with something different, and then I just thought, maybe I'll just drop half of my name and mesh it with my middle name and give it a little, little highlight or whatnot. So I am a Black photographer that specifically specializes in Black photography. One of the things that I love about photography is that you can specifically specialize in one thing, or you can specialize in a multitude of things. So instead of specializing in one specific category of photography, I decided to literally specialize in a specific race of photography. And I thought that would speak volumes to how different my business was from other people. It started in 2019. I've dabbled in photography for quite some time. And then one day I just had a conversation with somebody who's really dear to my heart. And she talked to me about turning your hobbies into things that feed your soul. And I just figured, why not turn photography into a business? And I did. And I started it while I was in seminary. And I kind of got away from it a little bit because, of course, seminary. And then I just woke up one day and said, you know what? I am not going to procrastinate about this anymore. So I have been head on in full force for the last almost, I would say, year. Giving it all I got.
Awesome. Okay, cool. And what I know about seminary, so we won't touch that today. We'll leave that for maybe another show. I'm sure we'll have plenty of conversation over that. So we'll just leave that there for now. But what would you say is one of your favorite photo sessions or photography sessions that you've done, and why?
Oh, that's a really good question. I don't know that I have a specific favorite individual session that I've done, but I have favorite people that I love to spend my time with. And like you said, majority of my sessions is laughs because I just cannot stop cracking jokes for no reason at all. So my favorite type of people are people who come and laugh. I feel like the best photos are the photos that people are not expecting. So if I can get you to laugh and be yourself in front of the camera, I think the session comes out so much better. So I usually, what I do is within like the first 5 minutes of my session, I usually crack at least 3 jokes. And if I can get one smile, then I know, all right, this is the one. This is what we're going to do. Recently, my favorite session had to be with my aunt. It was her birthday, and me and my aunt are basically two of a kind. And we cracked jokes the whole time. Like, most of her shots were her smiling because we were laughing. And not even just, I wasn't cracking jokes. It was just things that would just come up, and we would just, next thing you know, be weak for like 5 minutes. And then I realized, dang, I forgot to take a picture. So I just really enjoy having fun. So my favorite types of sessions are when I'm doing them with people who share their same interests.
Got it. Okay, so it's the energy in the session.
Yes,
is really
the vibe for me. A lot of people have questioned, like, why don't I play music during my sessions? And I think, while I do love music, and I think music is definitely a driving force for a lot of people, I think for me, my driving force is laughter. So I like to hear people laugh. I like to see people smile, which is probably one of the reasons why I became a photographer.
Got it. Okay. And I don't want, the listeners to think that you are just all jokes. I have seen you do serious photo shoots with suit and button down and all that. I've seen it. So you have the ability to, get the serious shots too. But yes. I love that it's about the vibe and the energy for you. I think that makes it all the better and makes it so that, like you said, when you are fulfilling a passion, it's no longer just a job to you. And I think that makes the photo, you can tell in your work. And with your permission, I'll post 1 or 2. Actually, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to post your portfolio website on my Twitter so that,
Well, you have my permission to, post all the things, if that's what you would like to do, of course. Shameless plug, do that for me.
Shameless plug. I just want to make sure the folks out here see the work and how to be able to book you. So that's my goal. That's my goal. So I'll make sure to do that.
Like you said, I am very much so professional, at least in my opinion. I do provide a very professional environment. I just think, for me, professionalism does not always have to be straight-faced. I think professionalism can have a vibe. And one of the things that I talk to, or at least when I'm doing the negotiating process of bookings, is I ask people, what makes them smile, what makes them laugh. And I think when people are first in that consulting process, they're probably wondering why she asking these questions. It is because I want to put you in those environments. And I think if I can put you in an environment that makes you smile, it already gives you that light, then I don't have to worry about doing too much editing because I'm getting you in the rawest place possible.
Got it. You mentioned environments. What is one of your favorite, do you have a favorite type of environment that you like to shoot in? If it's a park or a gym, or do you have a favorite place you like to shoot in?
Yes. So I am a Georgia resident, and one of the things that I love about Georgia is the outside nature environment. So I like parks. I like up in the mountains. I like that natural nature vibe. I am a nature kid, so I was an outside child. So I love being outdoors, and I think the parks and stuff like that, it's just those walking trails, those type of places are my absolute favorite places to shoot, no matter what time of year it is.
Okay, cool. And, of course, we're all living during this pandemic.
Come on, man.
All the different names that it has. How would you say that you have experienced any setbacks or difficulties as it relates to this perpetual pandemic that we're dealing with in your business?
In the beginning, yes, there were some challenges just with the safety of others, and the safety of yourself. Those type of vibes, living in that not knowing era of the pandemic when we were losing lives by the minute. I think that did a lot for business and my business, it did kind of fall. Right now, though, I think, and I consider myself to be in a very blessed situation, because while we are still in a pandemic and it's very much so real, the phone doesn't stop ringing. The texts don't stop coming in. People still want to, and it's interesting because, you know, in this time, in these uncertain times, people want to capture the moments of that they can with their family members, because you just never know. So interestingly enough, I have gotten text messages with people who have asked, hey, can you come take this photo of me and my family? I want to give this to my grandmother for her birthday, and those type of things.
Oh, wow. That's actually, I wouldn't have even thought about that, but that makes perfect sense. That
I didn't think about that either. I really thought my business was going to suffer because, you know, we can't gather, and you want to be very, very cautious of it. But people are really like, you know, you just never know when it's going to be the last time you're going to see a person. So people are trying to capture the moments that they can.
That makes complete sense. What would you say, or would you have any tips or suggestions for any businesses out there, whether they are similar to yours or different, if they're dealing with setbacks or anything in this pandemic? What tips or suggestions or advice would you have?
This is going to sound so biblically cliche, and I'm going to apologize in advance. But it is really what has kept me going. And it's simple, 2 words: keep pushing. It is hard. It has been hard, but it will not always be hard. Keep pushing, keep fighting, keep doing what you're doing, because people notice. And interestingly enough, when you stop, people are watching, people are looking, people want to know where you've gone. So keep pushing, keep doing what you're doing.
That is excellent advice. There's a beauty in the simplicity of it, but I like what you said. It will not always be hard. I like that. What is the best way for folks to book you?
So the best way for people to book me is I try to make it really, really like simple so that you don't have to do too much emailing and things of that nature. So the best way for people to book me is to go on my Instagram page. I am Color Me Ty on every bit of social media that I have, and it's COLURMETY. Unfortunately, the other O was taken, so I had to be creative. But
probably by some bot that's not even using it too.
Exactly. I was annoyed. I was like, how you gonna take my name, sis? And then Instagram tried to suggest that I put another Y. Well, my name is not spelt that way, sirs or ma'am. So I had to be creative. So if you go on Instagram to Color Me Ty, or if you just type in my name on Instagram, my actual first and last name will pop up, and you hit book now or book. I think it says booking in my. I don't know. It's a B word. It might say book. I don't know. If you hit that, it will take you to a website where you just put in your first, last name. You can go through and figure out what kind of shot you're trying to do, whether it's indoor, outdoor, solo, whatever the case may be, and pick a date and time on my calendar, and it will send me an email or a notification, because I have an app on my phone to let me know that you have successfully booked it. And that's it. It's really simple, maybe like 2 or 3 buttons at the most.
But the first button is booking, so you gotta make sure.
Look at God, it's booking. You got to verify.
I hadn't verified. I was just saying, make sure you hit the first button, because
yes, you gotta make sure you hit the button.
It always says book now.
Book. That's what it says. Right, so now.
If you want to book right now.
Right. So if you just hit book now, it will literally take you to my appointee, and you can go through all the different categories. You don't have to worry about selecting a photographer. It will automatically select me, and you just go through the 2 or 3 pages it takes you to, and then it's done. It's literally that simple.
Awesome. I want to keep chatting with you about, just state of affairs, state of the country, all of that. Do you have some time to stick with me into our the last part of the show, so we can keep talking?
Oh, absolutely. I love to talk about other people's business.
Okay, that's not not exactly what I meant, but sure.
I know. I just did that to prove a point. I did it so you could smile and laugh, so people would know I was serious about making people laugh.
Full circle. I'm telling you, that's it. I'm gonna keep you around. Photography and laughs, if nothing else.
If nothing else.
Okay, well, keep it locked. We have more with Tyriana Harris, Ty Nicole Photography, coming up in just a few minutes, so you don't want to touch that dial button, phone, or wherever you are listening to me on. So we'll be right back.
Follow Tiffanie Lanelle on social media at Tiff Lanelle on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
Welcome back. You're listening to Tiffanie Talks with Tiffanie Lanelle, and I have got one of the best photographers in Atlanta, Tyriana Nicole. I was going to say Ty Nicole Photography, but then I decided to say your name first. So that's how that happened. I forgot to ask you a question that I really wanted to ask you in the last segment. If you missed any of the last segment, you can, make sure you tune in every day, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. But you can also check out the beginning of the interview with Tyriana on the podcast. I'll give you those details later. But I forgot to ask you a question. What is a dream session, or like somebody you would love to do a photo session with?
Wow. Okay. So, okay. Bear with me. I actually have two different dreams. So one of my dreams is to actually do a photo series with some dope Black women who are like breaking barriers in male-dominated arenas like preaching, environmental injustice, radio, all that jazz. So I really do want to, and it is my goal to eventually create that photo series, just because I feel like Black women are just giants. I love it. So I feel like we don't get enough love. So as a Black woman, I feel like it's my duty to put that on display for people to see. That's my first one. My second one, and this probably is going to get a little emotional for me. This will never happen, but it is a dream. I would have loved to have been able to have done a photo shoot for my grandmother. She was my best friend, and she actually was the person that inspired me to be brave enough to do all the things that I had in my head. She actually brought me my very first camera, so I would love to just knock on heaven's door and say, can I just borrow her for like 45 minutes to do a photo shoot? I think I probably wouldn't be able to get through because I'd be seriously crying, but I would have loved to have done that.
I love that. You said your grandmother first of all, the first one I love. You're right. Black women are dope and definitely don't get enough credit. So I think that's awesome. You said your grandmother. I think that is so sweet. You said she bought you your first camera. I've got to know what kind of camera it was.
Oh, snap. Okay, so this was back in like 2000 and maybe 14, something like that. But it was at the time one of the best professional cameras you could actually have. And it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was a Nikon D50.
Oh wow!
I actually still have it to this day. It still works. I don't use it that often because of course I have other cameras to use, but it sits on the mantle in the living room, and every time I pass by it, I just feel like a piece of her is still here because she was the type of person who believed in your dreams, but she also invested in your dreams as well. So that was something that just keep with me. Now, honorable mention, I'd love to do a photo shoot with Michelle Obama. You ain't got your I'm just saying. So, Michelle, if you're listening, hit the booking information, sis.
She's just photogenic, period. So
exactly. Like, come on now. Listen.
For those who are listening who have no idea what a Nikon D50 means, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you were to have use a Nikon D50 today, that would be the equivalent of having one of those iPods that
Oh, snap.
with the circle pad. Is that the equivalent? Like if you were to carry that today, or did I take it back too far?
I mean, no, that's pretty much accurate. I'm gonna just be very honest with you. If you tried to use the Nikon D50 right now, if it turned on, you're already in good graces. God has smiled on you. That's number one. First of all, a Nikon D50 only takes a 2 gigabyte SD card. I don't even think they make those no more.
What are you? That's what, 3 pictures?
You're gonna get what, about 5 pictures out of there? That's what you take when the children is up there giving the Easter speech. You get more pictures there than you will on this camera.
I thought that may have been a good equivalent, but I wanted to.
That was perfect.
Okay.
That was perfect.
It's funny because I read an article that they are now a lot of, the drugstores and office supply stores are now closing their film developing centers, and they won't be developing film anymore. They won't be, now my grandmother used to work at a store chain in Ohio called Big Bear, and she would develop all of our rolls of film for us at the store.
Listen,
so
you said develop rolls, and I just got heart palpitations. I remember that.
That's throwback. Like I used to have canisters of rolls that I don't know why we were stockpiling them before we took them to get developed, but we never just took one. Like we took 6 at a time to go get developed. I don't
make me mad because when you go get the pictures and you open the envelope, 12 of them are somebody's thumb. I don't waste all this money on the flash, and you just said, "Oh my God, it was a terrible situation."
And I don't know why I used to like looking at the negatives that also came with the photos.
Wait. So I just developed a respect for you. I love the negatives. Oh my God, it was the best. I love the negatives.
Yeah, I've always been a nerd, so I don't know what it was, but just something about looking at, and if I'm not mistaken, I still have negatives somewhere in my house. I don't know where they are, but I guarantee I have an Eckerd photo somewhere in my house with a stack of photos and some negatives in it. I'm gonna have to find it now.
I tell you no lie. This is for the OGs. Back in the day, I used to have, this was back when Vanessa and Angela was popping. I used to have a pastry shoebox that I kept all my negatives in.
Oh, wow. Okay. You've been at this a long time.
I've always been fascinated by cameras. Always. Whether, you had to roll them. You know when you used to roll them and your thumb would get a little stuck, you used to have to wipe the finger and go.
And get the oil on it. Don't get the oil.
You couldn't do it. So, I've always been fascinated by camera. And for me, it was, in the beginning, it wasn't even about photography or taking the pictures. I was fascinated by the construction of the camera. Like, I wanted to take the camera apart and figure out which parts did what. And then I started to develop a love for taking pictures. Now, I will not take a picture of myself, but I will, and you can attest to this, I have been known to be very aggressive about taking pictures of other people.
That's an understatement. I would ever, my goodness, Ariana is the type that you are literally just sitting there minding your black girl business, and all of a sudden, just flash. Now, wait a minute. Can I put a tooth in? Can I grin? Can I pose? But some of the best photos you have taken of me have been just ad hoc, random photo. You sent me one yesterday.
I did.
Of this interview. So, I didn't have on no makeup or nothing, but it just.
I think you had actually just woken up, if I'm not mistaken.
You literally woke up like this type of photo.
But to me, it's funny that I even said that to you. I just so happened to be scrolling through my phone and I stopped and saw a picture and I just was like, this is probably one of my favorite pictures of her. I don't even think you were looking at me. It was just like, skin was glowing. Like, it was just a very nice photo. Like, it gives you, for those of y'all who probably will never see the photo, it is the way she looks in the photo. It reminds you of a photo that you would sit on your desk of somebody that you love. Now, mind you, she wasn't paying any attention, but it was just the light in her eyes that just, again, photography talk for Tiffanie was my muse that day, so I just.
And before I shed a tear, because that was really sweet. Okay, I'm gonna get serious before we end on a laugh. I'll get serious for a second. Of course, January 6th, a day that will literally go down in history as one of the worst days in this nation. Mm-hmm. White supremacists, Trump supporters attempted a coup. I believe in calling it like it is, and that's what I have said. It was an attempted coup and breach of intelligence. We know they took documents. They were looking through documents. There was reports of a laptop that was stolen from Nancy Pelosi's office that was sold to the Russians. Just all the things. What are your feelings about the attack on the Capitol?
I think it is sad. I think it is disrespectful, and I mean disrespectful not to America but to Black America, specifically because as I watched these events, I was in a staff meeting when this originated. As I watched the events on TV, I remember saying to myself, and I think I might have even said it to the people I was on the Zoom call with, had these people been African American, we'd be dead. This wouldn't even be a conversation. This wouldn't still be going on. This wouldn't be a thing. This would be, here's what happened at the Capitol. Here's how they were killed. So the fact that this was allowed to continue was very heartbreaking. I specifically remember feeling very nauseous and very angry because I remember over the summer when African Americans were peacefully protesting, there is an image that is forever ingrained in my head of a Black man holding a sign with his daughter around his neck and seeing members of the police point guns at her head and at him, and they never said a word. They were not doing anything. They were just standing, holding a sign. And then to see images on the internet last week resurface of officers taking selfies with people who are literally, this was a terrorist attack, and you taking selfies, but you pointed a gun at the child couldn't have been no more than about 7. And I think for me, and again, outside of me being a photographer, I am definitely a youth pastor. You know how I feel about children. That child will never forget that. That is an image that is forever ingrained in her soul about the day that her life could have been taken just holding a sign. So for me, the events that happen are disgusting and very disrespectful and heartbreaking to say the least. That's my nice thing for them.
Got it. I understand having to find a nice way to say it. Of course, with everything going on, yesterday was MLK Day, and yesterday I did a special show with Alex Haynes, who's coming up next. And we talked about different ways to take service and action and involvement beyond just the day of MLK Day. I guess my first question is, did yesterday MLK Day feel any different for you after the last year that we've had and after the attack on the Capitol?
Again, I'm going to have to find nice words to say this.
Understand the words of it being disrespectful to Black America are sticking with me. I want you to know.
Oh, you listen. That was a nice way I can say that. I think for me, Martin Luther King Day has always been a day of service for me. I remember being a child, and one of the things that we would do in my house is we would serve the community, and then we would watch the MLK Day parade, or vice versa. So I've never been in an environment where servitude was not the way in which I spent my MLK Day. However, after the last year and taking the pandemic out of this scenario, just the attacks on Black lives and the terrorist attack at the Capitol, I think MLK Day meant something different to me. And I think I said this to you yesterday or earlier today. I spent the bulk of MLK Day scrolling through social media, watching people who we all know would have hated Martin Luther King celebrate and quote terms and things that he said. And just for me, again, it feels like sometimes we are given, in this America, we are given things to kind of pacify situations and instances that have occurred. And I think for me, while I will always celebrate the achievements of Dr. King, I often feel like sometimes holidays that celebrate African Americans are given to us to kind of take light off of the injustice and the inconsistencies given to us by white supremacy, by the government, by anything.
Yeah, I agree with that. I just agree with that. To end on hopefully a light note. Hopefully. So, of course, every president comes in with their first 100 days planned or whatnot. And we've seen a lot of plans, a lot of transition team members and cabinet officials and all of that being announced from the Biden-Harris administration. What is something you are hoping to see from this new administration over the next 100 days?
Well, first, in a very joking manner, but not very serious, I am equally and just like anticipating movers and sons as they are taking Trump's things out of the White. That's the first thing.
So you waiting on the U-Haul?
I'm waiting on the U-Haul. That's the first thing. Once I know that the U-Haul has come, then I can have hope for the first 100 days. But I like the U-Haul. I need to see whomever and sons moving Trump and his wife's things. Whoever y'all can pick. Y'all don't care. You can be U-Haul. I don't know who else y'all want. I think my uncle and they cousins, they can come. We can just get a truck and we can get y'all up out of there. That's what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking for that. And I think, don't that happen between today and tomorrow? Because the inauguration is tomorrow. So sometime between these next 24 hours, that truck is coming. And I just want to see the picture of the truck. That's what I would actually like to be the photographer they call to take the picture of the truck. But no, seriously, it's the truck. I want to see the truck and I want to see the driver. That's all.
I actually wouldn't mind seeing their things in an Angela Bassett type scene from Waiting to Exhale.
I can't say the word, but get it out. I just want to see the police knock on the White House door and say, "You realize your stuff on fire?" Yes. I just want you, ma'am. You can't do that. I think I did what I had to do.
Okay.
That's what I'm looking forward to. But out of these next 100 days, I know it is a stretch to say this, but I am looking forward and I'm praying for, because, as American citizens, we are used to being lied to and used to being pacified. So I am really hoping that the promises that were made during debate season come. And people get what they were promised. I probably would be selfish about saying this, but the student loan debt, that's the one for me. I'd like that today. As soon as y'all get it, right after y'all inaugurate, y'all say, you said, put your hand on the Bible, put that other hand in the pen and sign that. That's how I need that to go down. I'm just like, I'd like to get an email that says, you know what? We got you. That was on us. We did that one for you. You got that degree on us. Preach.
You just did it all and did.
I just want to see that. But I realize that this administration is much different than any other administration we've ever had. We have a female, a woman, and a Black woman at that in office. So I know that a lot is being expected of her, and I know that there is a lot that she has to do and a lot that she has to go through in order to just show up every day. So I am definitely praying for her, but I am praying that as the women and the man that they promised us that they were, that they continue to be.
Got it. Awesome. Okay. That's going to do it for us for
look at you.
Miss Tariana Harris. Remind them of your social account again and how they can get in touch with you.
I am, like I said, Color Me Ty on every bit of social media. That is COLURMETY. And then I am Tariana Harris on Facebook. And yeah, Instagram and Twitter are the same. My booking information is on Instagram as well. Links to my portfolio is on Instagram. And for those of you all who are listening, I look forward to being able to be blessed with the opportunity to work with you all too.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate it. And thank you to my listeners for taking the time to sit and listen to us giggle and chat and talk. If you missed any part of today's show, don't forget you can check me out on Spotify and Apple Hooks. I know I kept saying that I was coming on Apple. All of my episodes are actually on Apple Podcasts.
And we bless God that the woman of God is on the Big Apple, okay?
So if you missed any of last season's episodes, then you can check those out as well. Make sure you follow and subscribe while you are there and share. And if you have any topics you want to hit me up about, you can email Tiffanie Talks at bossfm.com. Thank you so much for tuning in today. That is going to do it for me. Remember, be safe, be blessed, and let God be God today. Have a good one.
Tiffanie Talks, the Tiffanie Talks podcast, powered by Boss FM.